X-Men confirmados en el universo cinematográfico de Marvel, el final de la fase 4 y representación mesoamericana en la última película de Marvel Studios, Black Panther Wakanda Forever. De eso y algunas cositas más estuve hablando con Nate Moore, productor de la última película de Marvel, en una entrevista 1 a 1 para Hipertextual. Hay muy pequeños spoilers sobre algunos aspectos de la película en esta entrevista, nada que afecte a la trama, pero están advertidos. Dicho eso, uno de los cambios más grandes con respecto a los cómics es que en la película de Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Namor, o Namor, el enemigo muy anticipado de Pantera Negra, no es de Atlantis, su reino no es de Atlantis, sino que descende de los antiguos habitantes de la península de Yucatán. Algo sumamente interesante cuando se combina con el vibranio. Pero ¿qué pasa cuando en vez de ser una nación que prosperó, es una nación que fue colonizada? Así que le preguntamos a Nate Moore a qué se debe ese cambio y qué es lo que representa.
Yeah, I think Ryan, when he was conceiving of this world, wanted it to be anchored in a real place in the same way that Wakanda was in the first film. And if you think about Atlantis in publishing, which has been around forever, it's maybe kind of Roman-inspired, but it doesn't feel incredibly specific. And thematically, Ryan was and still is very interested in the theme of colonization and how that affects people. And so then it was a question of, well, what other, by the way, there's too many, but what other nations have experienced this loss, and how does it juxtapose to Wakanda, which has never been colonized? And in looking at Mayan civilization, both past and present, it's so rich, both culturally and visually, but also the narrative is tragic is the wrong thing because they still exist, but it is fraught with going through some of these issues, that it just made sense to sort of lean into that and to really be inspired by such a fantastic culture and hopefully give Talokan the same grounding in a reality that Wakanda has.
Wakanda Forever es la última película de la fase 4 del universo cinematográfico de Marvel, y como tal podía conllevar una responsabilidad un poco más grande que si fuera cualquier otra película. De eso estuvimos hablando un poco también.
A little bit, but we also know, and my colleagues are fantastic storytellers as well, what we were all pushing for, and pushing towards. Because I think Phase 4 is very much about loss and dealing with loss and coming out the other side renewed, you know what I mean? And if you think about WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier, and even the comedies like She-Hulk, it's about losing something of yourself and then figuring out how you can move forward in a way that celebrates life and doesn't dwell on the tragedy. And I think this film felt like a perfect encapsulation of that theme, but it was all stuff that we had been building towards internally, hopefully, because Endgame was such a big game changer, and there's such a loss to that movie. Even though it's a win, you lose Tony Stark, you lose Steve Rogers. We wanted to explore the ripple of that, and this just became one in a larger tapestry of that loss.
Muchas de las escenas de Wakanda Forever transcurren en el agua o bajo el agua, y eso conllevó un desafío técnico muy grande.
It was exactly that. It was Ryan, as a filmmaker, really wanted to challenge us to shoot as much underwater as we could. And that meant that actors and actresses had to learn how to swim. Some of them didn't know. Had to also learn how to perform underwater. And our camera teams had to be underwater. And our sound team had to be underwater. So from a logistics standpoint, it was almost not close how hard this movie was. But I think that helps the reality of the world, because when you're watching them explore Talokan, those are real people who are underwater, and you feel it. As the audience, you feel it in ways maybe that you can articulate and that you can't, but you know that is water interacting with flesh in a way that we couldn't have done if it was dry for wet.
Y esto es algo que está generando muchísima emoción y expectativa. En Black Panther Wakanda Forever se confirma que Namor o Namor es mutante. Y este ya sería el segundo mutante confirmado en el universo cinematográfico de Marvel después de Kamala Khan. Así que le pregunté a Nate Moore si eso era la anticipación de algo más grande con respecto a los mutantes en el MCU. Y la respuesta es lo que muchos fans estaban esperando.
I mean, clearly, it's no secret we are driving towards X-Men, hopefully sooner rather than later. But sort of these breadcrumbs we think are really fun to play with, and to get people excited about that idea, and to be honest, truthful to that character. I mean, Namor is the first mutant, and we didn't want to shy away from that. So it is fun. It is fun to sort of start to build towards something.
Así que las bases están sentadas para que los X-Men lleguen relativamente pronto al universo cinematográfico de Marvel. Con eso me despido. Gracias por mirarnos. No dejen de suscribirse al canal y nos vemos la próxima.